There is a silent clock ticking inside every human body. You cannot hear it, you cannot see it, yet every second it moves forward, quietly reshaping the cells that keep you alive. Your skin slowly loses elasticity, your muscles become weaker, your energy fades in ways you barely notice at first. We call this aging. For centuries, people believed aging was simply the unavoidable price of being alive, a natural process written into the code of every human being. But modern science is beginning to reveal something extraordinary. Aging is not just about time, it is about biology. Inside your body, trillions of cells are constantly fighting a microscopic battle against damage, stress, and decay. And the speed of this battle determines how fast your body ages. In laboratories around the world, scientists have been searching for ways to influence these processes, not to create immortality, but to understand how the body protects itself from aging. And unexpectedly, their research kept pointing to something surprisingly simple: a single vitamin, a molecule that your body can create from sunlight. A nutrient so common, yet so powerful, that some researchers now believe it may influence some of the most fundamental processes connected to aging. And here is the shocking part. Millions of people around the world are deficient in it, without even realizing it. This is the story of the vitamin that scientists believe may play a critical role in slowing some of the processes of aging. The vitamin we thought we understood, but are only now beginning to truly discover.
To understand how aging works, we must first look at the microscopic world inside your body. Every second, trillions of chemical reactions are taking place inside your cells. Your cells are constantly producing energy, repairing damage, replacing worn-out proteins, and defending themselves from harmful molecules. These processes are what allow your body to function, but they are not perfect. Every time a cell produces energy, it also creates unstable molecules called free radicals. Free radicals are highly reactive particles. They behave like microscopic sparks inside the cell, bouncing from molecule to molecule, damaging whatever they touch. Proteins can become misshapen, cell membranes can weaken, even DNA can be affected. Over time, this damage begins to accumulate. Scientists call this process oxidative stress, and it is considered one of the major drivers of biological aging. When oxidative stress overwhelms the cell's defenses, the consequences begin to appear throughout the body. Skin loses its smooth texture, energy production becomes less efficient, inflammation increases, cells begin to function less effectively. This is why scientists have spent decades studying the body's natural defense systems. Inside your cells, powerful antioxidant systems exist to neutralize free radicals before they can cause damage. These antioxidants act like microscopic guardians. They intercept dangerous molecules, stabilizing them and preventing them from harming the delicate structures inside the cell. But as we grow older, these defenses gradually weaken. The balance between damage and repair begins to shift. Damage slowly starts to win. And that shift is what we experience as aging. But what if there were ways to strengthen these cellular defenses? What if certain nutrients could help the body maintain balance longer? That question has driven thousands of scientific studies. And once again, one molecule keeps appearing in the research: vitamin D.
For most of modern history, vitamin D was known primarily for one simple function: bone health. Doctors understood that it helped the body absorb calcium and maintain strong bones. Severe vitamin D deficiency could lead to conditions like rickets, where bones become soft and fragile. Because of this, vitamin D was traditionally categorized as just another dietary vitamin. But over the last 2 decades, scientists have discovered something remarkable. Vitamin D behaves less like a traditional vitamin and more like a hormone. When sunlight touches your skin, ultraviolet B radiation triggers a chemical reaction that converts a cholesterol-like molecule into vitamin D3. This molecule then travels through the bloodstream to the liver, where it undergoes its first transformation. From there, it moves to the kidneys, where it becomes its active form known as calcitriol. And once calcitriol is created, something extraordinary happens. It begins interacting with a special structure found inside many cells of the human body, the vitamin D receptor. This receptor exists in a wide range of tissues: in brain cells, in immune cells, in muscles, in the heart. When activated, the vitamin D receptor acts almost like a molecular switch. It can influence the activity of hundreds of genes. Genes responsible for inflammation control, genes involved in immune responses, genes that regulate cell growth and repair. Suddenly, scientists realized that vitamin D was not just supporting bone health, it was participating in the regulation of entire biological systems that determine how the body maintains itself over time. And that realization opened the door to a deeper question. Could vitamin D influence the biological processes connected to aging?
One of the most important discoveries about aging involves something called chronic inflammation. Inflammation is normally a helpful response. When your body detects an infection or injury, immune cells release chemical signals that trigger inflammation. Blood vessels expand, immune cells rush to the site of damage. The body begins the process of repair. But sometimes inflammation does not turn off. Instead of protecting the body, it becomes a constant background signal, a slow-burning fire inside tissues. Scientists now refer to this phenomenon as inflammaging. It is a persistent, low-level inflammation that slowly damages cells and tissues over time. Inflammaging has been linked to many of the diseases associated with aging: heart disease, Alzheimer's disease, type 2 diabetes, arthritis, cancer. One of the most fascinating roles of vitamin D appears to be its ability to regulate immune responses. When sufficient vitamin D is present, immune cells behave differently. They become less likely to produce excessive inflammatory signals. At the same time, they maintain their ability to respond to real threats, such as infections. In other words, vitamin D helps maintain balance. Not too much inflammation, not too little immune defense, just enough to protect the body without causing damage. Researchers now believe this balancing effect may be one of the reasons vitamin D is associated with healthier aging. By calming unnecessary inflammation, the body may experience less cumulative damage over time. But inflammation is not the only biological process connected to aging. Another process lies deep within the structure of our DNA, and it may hold one of the greatest clues about how long our cells can continue functioning.
Inside every cell of your body lies a set of chromosomes containing the genetic instructions for life. At the ends of these chromosomes are protective structures known as telomeres. You can imagine telomeres like the plastic tips at the ends of shoelaces. Their job is to protect the DNA from fraying or becoming damaged when cells divide. Every time a cell replicates itself, the telomeres become slightly shorter. This process happens naturally throughout life. Shorter and shorter, until eventually the telomeres become so small that the cell can no longer divide safely. At that point, the cell either enters a state of inactivity or it dies. Because of this, telomere length has become one of the most studied biological markers of aging. Cells with longer telomeres tend to function more effectively. Cells with very short telomeres are closer to the end of their lifespan. Scientists began investigating whether lifestyle factors could influence telomere length. Exercise appeared to help maintain longer telomeres. Stress reduction also showed positive effects. Nutrition played an important role, but once again, vitamin D kept appearing in the research. Several studies have found that individuals with healthy vitamin D levels tend to have longer telomeres compared to those with deficiencies. While the relationship is still being studied, researchers believe vitamin D may help protect telomeres by reducing oxidative stress and inflammation. Both of these forces are known to accelerate telomere shortening. When cells experience less damage, their protective structures may last longer. And when telomeres last longer, cells may remain functional for a greater period of time.
Another fascinating connection between vitamin D and aging involves energy production inside the cell. Every cell contains tiny structures called mitochondria. These microscopic structures function like power plants. They convert nutrients into usable energy that fuels nearly every biological process in the body. But mitochondria are highly sensitive to damage. Oxidative stress, inflammation, and environmental factors can gradually impair their function. When mitochondria begin to decline, the consequences ripple throughout the entire body. Energy levels drop, muscles weaken, mental clarity can fade. Fatigue becomes more common. These symptoms are often associated with aging itself, but researchers have discovered that vitamin D appears to influence mitochondrial function. Healthy vitamin D levels may support the efficiency of these cellular power plants, helping them produce energy more effectively. This means cells may maintain stronger metabolic activity, even as the body grows older. Although the exact mechanisms are still being explored, the evidence suggests that vitamin D participates in regulating genes involved in mitochondrial maintenance. In other words, it may help cells preserve the machinery that keeps them alive. And when that machinery remains functional, the entire organism benefits.
Despite the growing understanding of vitamin D's importance, deficiency remains incredibly common across the world. In fact, some estimates suggest that more than 1 billion people may have insufficient vitamin D levels. Modern lifestyles play a major role. For most of human history, people spent large portions of their day outdoors. Sunlight exposure was constant. But modern life has dramatically changed that pattern. Many people now spend most of their time indoors. Offices, homes, cars. Artificial lighting has replaced natural sunlight. Urban environments often block direct sun exposure. And when people do go outside, sunscreen frequently blocks the ultraviolet B rays necessary for vitamin D production. As a result, the natural biological process that once supplied humans with this essential molecule has been quietly disrupted. The body still depends on vitamin D, but the environment that once provided it has changed. This mismatch between biology and lifestyle may be one of the hidden factors influencing modern health.
Of course, vitamin D is not a magic solution to aging. No single molecule can completely stop the biological processes that shape human life. But what science is revealing is something equally powerful. Aging is influenced by many small factors interacting together: nutrition, sleep, stress, physical activity, sunlight exposure. Each of these elements affects the cellular systems that determine how well the body maintains itself over time. Vitamin D appears to be one piece of that complex puzzle, a signal molecule that helps regulate inflammation, support immune balance, influence gene expression, and protect cellular structures. When the body has enough of it, many of these systems function more smoothly. When levels drop too low, those systems may struggle to maintain balance. Perhaps the most fascinating realization emerging from modern research is how simple the origins of vitamin D truly are. Sunlight. For millions of years, human biology evolved under the open sky. Daily exposure to sunlight was a normal part of life. Our skin developed the ability to transform that sunlight into a molecule capable of influencing hundreds of biological processes. A molecule that quietly supports the delicate balance inside trillions of cells. Today, scientists are still uncovering new ways that vitamin D interacts with the body. New studies continue to explore its role in immunity, metabolism, brain health, and aging. But the deeper message may be surprisingly simple. Sometimes the most powerful influences on human health are not found in futuristic laboratories or experimental technologies. Sometimes they come from forces that have surrounded us since the beginning. Light, nature, and the extraordinary biological systems that allow the human body to transform something as simple as sunlight into one of the most important signals for life itself.